Well, folks, I'm back once again doing another video game review, and this time I'm doing the review for Pacman for the Atari 2600. It was also ported for the ColecoVision and later for the Atari 5200. I'm not. It was probably ported for the Atari 7800. I'm not like 100% sure of that, but it is based off the arcade classic Pac-Man that came out in 1982. I mean 1980 rather, instead of 1982. And the premise is you got to clear the maze of the pellets before all the ghosts, awful ghosts get you. But you're not like helpless because there's like these four power pellets that you get to. Once you get to them, to one of them, you can you can eat the ghost, and there's like a point value for eating them in succession. 200, 400, 800, 1600. And once you do that, they go back to that box and like get their like body back per se, and it starts all over again until you clear the board. One thing about the arcade version is that it has like fruit in it on each stage, also for the cherry and other later stages, and it has other fruit in it, other pieces of fruit. Now, one thing about this particular the arcade game is that it doesn't have like an end boss or anything like that, and the stage just pretty much loops over and over again. And the arcade games gets like tougher with each game, each stage. Now and as far as the graphics and gameplay of the arcade itself and the music, it's all pretty good. It's all classic, you know what I'm saying? But the 2600 version, it specifically isn't nearly as good. It's not even close. Everything about it is it's just awful. It's a complete turd fest, you know. It's like when you see the graphics and like the sound effects and stuff, it don't resemble the arcade version at all. It's like, how can you mess up the simple plot, level design of Pac-Man? That only it was like you wouldn't think it was possible, but it was. You know, like when you look at the graphics and the graphics of the level design of Pac-Man, it is pretty awful. And that's saying a lot because a lot of the graphics and level designs of different games for the Atari 2600 are dated. But it's kind of like this one is the worst of the worst, mainly because it doesn't resemble the arcade version at all in terms of graphics and level design. Same thing can be said about about the sound effects and the lack of soundtrack, because one of the things that Pac-Man is known for, besides the maze and stuff and the amazing graphics, are pretty much the soundtrack. I don't know why they weren't able to put a soundtrack in. Maybe it's because of the limitation of the Atari 2600. But the game could have benefited from a soundtrack, not just have some straight bland, awful sound effects that is practically monotone and naked, like bam, 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 bam. It's like it get on your nerves after a while, you know. And the controls, I can pretty much say probably the best controls, but it's still stiff, unresponsive and stuff. So it's kind of like I don't remember any like upside to this particular game. You know what I'm saying? In any shape, form, or fashion. And not only that, it's responsible. One of Pacman for the Atari 2600 is one of the reasons why there was a thing called the video game crash that started like late at 82, late 83, and then up to like a few years before Nintendo decided to release like the Famicom and the NES in 1984 and 85 respectively. And, and at that time, 32 years ago, that was pretty gutsy of Nintendo to do that, to bring that console in, because it wasn't like this wasn't like 10 years, a 2 year gap between the NES and the Atari 2600. This was practically a 2 year, a 1 to 2 year gap, so we were folks who was playing video games on the Atari 2600 was like, man, I don't want to play this no more, especially like with Pac-Man and E.T. Now, I know I kind of like rambled on about the video game crash, but let's face it, Pac-Man was one of the reasons why it happened. Well, for the Atari 2600 at least. It was really like a big turnoff, not just me, but everybody who played it at the time. That's how bad this is. To me, it's like right up there as far as worst video games of all time. As far as the worst video games of all time, it's right up there with E.T. and Superman 64. Even though some people will say it's not as bad as those two, but it's close though. With that being said, if you have sad memories of this pathetic port on the Atari 2600, you can mention it in the comment section. Or if you like this particular video review of Pac-Man, you can click the thumbs up button. And don't forget to subscribe. This is your boy, Big Metroid Fan 12, signing off.